Welcome to Edulam. Today we are going to begin a new chapter, chapter number 8, Natural Resources, and this is for Standard 10 GSEB. The heading of the chapter is Natural Resources. Now, what you get by the term resources? Resources is a thing, a simply thing which can be used for any purpose. The purpose might be for consuming or for just using it for the industrial use, or maybe anything that can be used which has a purpose. This thing is termed as resource. There are several uses of resource. The first is resource as a food. Now whatever we consume is food. We eat food. That food we get it from, either we get it from nature or else we get it from animals. ये बात अलग है कि फार्मर्स उगाते हैं, लेकिन इन डायरेक्ट वे और इन इनडायरेक्ट वे द सॉइल इज आफ्टर ऑल, द सॉइल एंड वाटर आर द मेन थिंग दैट हेल्प्स अ प्लांट टू ग्रो. So they come under natural resource. So here resource is the resource that is land, which plays a very important role. So we can say we get fruit, vegetable, pulses, and this all things, the naturally growing things, as food. So they are termed as resource. Then we talk about milk, meat, and the things that comes under the non-vegetarian food or else milk or the milk products. This all are the food that we consume, and this all are also resource because we get it from animals. So we can say food as a resource. Then comes resource as a source of raw material. How resource as a source of raw material? Because various goods that we get from forest, like agro products, then comes hides and meat available from animals, mineral ores, this all things we get from nature, we get from jungle, we get from many other places. So these things are resource. So this can be classified under resource as a raw material, and from this all raw material various new things are made in our day-to-day life, we use it. Then comes resource as energy resource. Now energy resources are such resources which provides energy in direct way or in indirect way, such as coal and petroleum. This all things are very important in our life. Without petroleum transportation is not possible, and we without petroleum हमको कुछ नहीं मिल सकता, because if transportation is not possible, then the food item that go from one place to another place, and the coal, right? What coal plays, it produces energy, it produces electricity. So we need resources. In short, we can conclude that we need resources in our day-to-day activity, and it is a very important part and an inseparable part of our life. So the next thing that we will be discussing is type of resources. So from here the main chapter begins, the type of resources, how resources are classified, and how we use it in our day-to-day life. These resources are mainly divided into three different parts. The first is on basis of ownership, मतलब किसकी ownership के नीचे how many resources are there. There are three type of ownership resources. The first is individual, a person who holds it individually. This type of resource is termed as individual resource. The example are land, building, etc. So a house, let's take an example of a house. A house is owned by a person himself. Then we can say that a house is an individual resource. जो भी हाउस होगा, जो भी इंसान के नाम का होगा, he or she will be the holder of the house. Then comes the national. So what is national resource? So this national resource is owned by a country or a region. The national resource is owned by a country or a region. Let's take an example of the Rafale, the fighter planes that we have in our country. These are the our resource. So it is for all of us. To what this Rafale will do, it will protect us in war. So it is a type of resource for whole country. एक का नहीं है. We can't say it belongs to prime minister and he will only use it. So it is for everyone. So it is counted under national resource. Then comes the global resource. Global resource are all physical or non-physical resources which are used for human welfare. Physical as well as non-physical resource that are used for human welfare, and no one has the ownership of it. Let's take an example of air. Air is a global resource. How we can say? Because no one is the owner of air. ऐसा नहीं है कि इंडिया की एयर, अमेरिका की एयर, नो वन इज़ द ओनर ऑफ द एयर, एंड इट इज़ अ रिसोर्स, इट इज़ अ नेचुरल रिसोर्स, एंड इट्स ओनरशिप इज़ ग्लोबल. Then comes the on basis of reavailability. Reavailability means if a resource once gone, once used, can be again available. So there, this classification is done in two types, in two parts. The first one is renewable and the second one is non-renewable. Renewable, it means we can recycle that product again and we can use it again and again multiple times. And whereas we talk about non-renewable, non-renewable resources are resources which once used, which once consumed, or which once get finished, it can't be regained another time, it can't be recycled another time. So this type of resources are known as non-renewable. When we talk about the third type, that is on the basis of distribution centers, like how they are distributed, on which region we exactly get it. The first one is universal. Universal means it is present in whole universe. It is present in whole universe. Likewise, I said before, the oxygen and nitrogen. So oxygen and nitrogen are present in whole universe, so it is termed as universal resource. Then comes the generally available. So very easily available resources such as land, water and air. These three things are there on our earth at every place: land, water and air. So this three things comes under generally available. Then comes very rare resources, those resources which we get at a very limited place, at a very rare place. The example are such a minerals such as copper, gold, uranium, etc. We get it from very rare places, we get it from very rare states or very rare countries. So this things comes under rare type of resource. Then comes the solitary resource. So minerals available only at one or two places in the world. This type of mineral which are available only at one place or some other place, it is more rare than rare, we can say. So this type of resources which are only available at one place or more than one place, not more than one place, sorry, this type of resources are known as solitary resources. And the example are one of the chemical, that is cryolite, and it is only available in Greenland. So this cryolite we have discussed in second chapter, what is this cryolite exactly. Then comes planning and conservation of resources. So we have resources. Some resources are unlimited, whereas some resources are limited. Some are going to be get extinct, some are going to get finished in one or other day, such as petroleum, silver, gold, etc. But some resources are those which we can recycle it and produce more and more and use it how much we want and again recycle it, and this process goes on. So for the resources which are non-renewable, which we need to conserve it, which we need a sustainable development for it, this type of resources need a certain planning and a conservation from us as well as from the government, that we are going to study next. Conservation of resource. What do you mean by conservation of resource? When there is a danger of existence on the life of a tree or human life, the arrangement made for it is termed as conservation. So if there is really a danger on existence, मतलब कि कोई ट्री या तो फिर ह्यूमन लाइफ के लिए, कोई एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए, इन दोनों के कुछ डेंजर हो उसके ऊपर, देन द अरेंजमेंट टू कंजर्व इट इज टर्म अरेंजमेंट डन टू सेफ गार्ड इट इज टर्म एज conservation. Suppose let's take an example. conservation of petrol. So yes, there is danger on petrol, and it is a natural occurring substance, and it cannot be recycled, and it cannot be reused again and again, and it is a type of resource which will get extinct one or the other day in the future. So what we really need to do is we need to use it in such a way that we have all heard about the word sustainable development. So what was there in sustainable development? Using it with a care so that our wants are fulfilled as well as the wants of the future are also fulfilled. So we should use a which we must use we are using we should use resources. No one is telling no, but we should use it in that manner that the future generation is not harmed at any cost. So this is all about the conservation. So how we can plan actually and for the conservation. The first point is, first of all, gather information about the availability of utilized, unutilized and probable resources of any region of or a country as a unit. So we should gather all the information that what type of resources we actually are using in our country, and what type of resources which can be used, which can be used as a supplement also, and which can be used in that way that it really don't harm us. So this is the first point. The second is, resources which are limited or non-renewable should be exploited scientifically and should be used only when that there is necessary to use them. So the second point tries to say us that the resources which are limited or non-renewable, such as petrol, so what scientists should do should be exploited scientifically and should be used only where it is when we need it really to use them. We should not use them in a very free way. Then comes, attempts should be made to develop those resource and quantity of which should be increased. Now the resources which we are not using so much, and the resources which are there, which will be there in future also, so the resource of the use of that type of resource should be increased, whereas the resource which we know that this day or the other day this will get empty one day, so that type of resource use should be decreased. The resource which are cheaper and easily available should not be wasted. So if we think that this resource is really cheap and it is very easily available and we waste it all, then it should be not done, because one or other day, after all, it is a resource, it is going to finish one or the other day. And what so it is, suppose it is cheaper, so if you are getting it at a cheap rate today, you might not get it at a cheap rate tomorrow. So we should use it, but we should also think of the coming days. But instead it should be used sparingly for future use. Then comes, those resources which are limited quantity should be conserved, such as petrol and all these things we have already discussed. Then comes necessary laws. Yes, there are laws that government has passed to save all these resources, to conserve all these resources, and government need to pass some more laws for the conservation of resources and minerals for the future generation. And if a person who goes against the laws should be punished in the same way, so that all people follow the rules and regulations very strictly. Then comes, citizens be well acquainted with all facts associated with the rational usage of resources, and a public awareness should be cultivated, right? In our country, what happens, many people don't know exactly what are resource and what are the use of it, how we should use it, and the facts about the resources, that whether you will get it in the future or you will face many problems without it. So there is, we can say, the awareness is not so much in our country. So we should try, as a citizen of India, we should try to spread the awareness to the people who really don't know how to use, how to conserve the resource. This was all about the resource. The next topic is soil formation. Soil formation we will continue in the part 2, in which we will include how soil is formed and what is the exact definition of soil, and the 8 type of soils: the alluvial, red soil, black, laterite, desert, mountain, forest and marshy. This all soils, in which region they are found and what is the characteristic of it exactly. This all things we will be continuing sorry, in the part 2 of this series. So stay connected with us, stay tuned for the further updates, hit a like button, don't forget to subscribe us. Thank you.